Welcome to Smash Writing. I'm Paul. This is Justin. Today we're back with another Bond film.
Happy days are here. Roger Moore is no more. Rest in peace. That's not what I meant.
That's fucked up. So messed up. Yes, today we are reviewing A View to a Kill, starring the Roger Moore as the final film of his Bond career. No, he doesn't come back in like '92 for a Eon Bond film. No, that's done.
I'm so happy. God,
I'm
ready
know.
to move on from Moore.
We'll talk a little bit about Roger's legacy in a minute. Justin, go ahead and get to the plot.
We open up to Bond having to make an escape from the Soviet site to some Beach Boys, California girl.
Yeah. While he's skiing and snowboarding.
I don't know why. Whatever. Back to he escapes. His secret sub, which is shaped as an iceberg. He escapes with a microchip, and we find out back at HQ we find out that the microchip can't be damaged by magnetic pulses from like a atomic missile. And the Brits designed it. The Soviets now have a duplicate of it, and they believe it's from someone from Zorin, maybe even Zorin himself. And they send Bond in to investigate. But we first meet at the horse race. That's where Zorin and the woman Mayday are. And particularly how suspicious his horses are. They are faster and better thoroughbreds than even the finest thoroughbreds his horses beat. And this intrigues Bond. Intrigues the Bond. So he wants to meet with the detective and everything who's been working that. The guy shows him there are no drugs in the horses, and they can't find anything on Zorin after he immigrated out of East Germany. When the detective is killed with a fishing hook. I don't understand what's going on there. There was a big chase, but the person, Mayday, gets away on a parachute.
Okay, about that scene, literally, you have like a 65-year-old man chasing Mayday up there.
57.
57, whatever. He looked 65. All jokes aside with his actual age, couldn't he just shoot the parachute?
Yeah, he could have. Well, to be fair, if you miss the parachute, you're shooting at the ground, where people are.
Well, no, he was at an angle where he could have shot up.
I thought it was lower. But the Bond will not be stopped by this nonsense. He commandeers a taxi, and he gives chase even after the taxi is split in half.
And
He's still driving the front half.
Jesus Christ.
And he chases her into a boat, but Zorin is waiting on a speedboat and gets away that way. And
he was getting her. He was like, he would not stop until the very end, until he didn't have a plan of the speedboat.
Because he didn't pull out a boat. But they infiltrate Zorin's horse sale going on at the estate. Bond is at the main show while Tibbet is poking around, and we meet Jenny Flex, who I thought was going to be the Bond girl, and she's not the Bond girl. But Pegasus, the horse that they were interested in, has disappeared. They can't find Pegasus.
Because he's up in the sky. Duh.
He has a brief talking with the horse doctor for a moment before Zorin arrives and interrupts it. And he gets all pissy when Bond mentions fly fishing. And the talk ends. And they break into the stalls. And we find that microchips have been inserted into the horses. And they inject drugs through the microchip through the use of Zorin's cane. Which would still turn up in a drug test, do you think? Because there's still drugs being pumped into the horse.
Let's not think about logic here. My goodness.
And Zorin is hoarding microchips here.
Zorin's whole plan of becoming a monopoly was already a non-common sense one, but
yeah. Well, Mayday's busy training Zorin, and she reminds him that Bond appears to be the guy from somewhere, but she can't remember who. Oh no, she does remember that he was the one from the Eiffel Tower. But then sleeps with him instead of, just eliminating him. There's a weird edit in this scene. We're going to come back to that edit later.
Okay.
We will come back. Notices that someone was in the lab because a valve's been put in the wrong place. And a computer scan shows that Bond is James Bond. So they come up with a plan.
So much for a secret identity. Jeez. All you gotta do is type in a couple of names. It's like James S.T. what something, and then it was like Stock, and then it was like real name James Bond. Glad somebody didn't keep that under wraps.
But Tibbet goes to get to run a check on the scan on the checks, but he's followed and eliminated at the car wash, unbeknownst to Bond, who is a horse that he's riding on is being triggered to go insane at random points, but he's doing his best to hold on to this horse. He takes it off the track and he sees Tibbet's car, but Tibbet's already gone. They knock him out and they put him in the back seat and they push the car into the lake. Bond escapes. There's a smart moment here where he uses the tire for air, which is
Yeah, that was actually pretty clever.
We gotta grab onto whatever we can here.
That's it.
But he's visited by the Soviets who are upset about him killing 007. They're upset over his horses, and they're upset that they call him, he is a KGB agent, and they call him a genetic freak, and everything's about to go south, but the general calls him off and tells him, we'll be back for you later. And Zoran wants to call, it's like Max Strike or something his plan's called. And it's pretty much Shrike Silicon Valley where 80% of the microchips are being made. But we don't hear what the end of the plan is because we focus more on the guy who did want to be part of it being dropped out of the blimp. I don't know why we're in a blimp.
Their escape vehicle.
But it did remind me of Reacher Season 2 where they threw Reacher's squad mates out of the plane.
But that was a plane.
Now I want to watch Reacher Season 2.
Of course you do.
It's so much better than this.
Again, this is your idea.
We're only like 40 minutes into this movie.
Yeah, it's...
And despite the fact that it might sound like a lot have happened, it hasn't. And what has really happened?
Nothing. Nothing. You had typical Bond banging women.
We learned that the horse doctor was a doctor from the Nazis who did tests on pregnant women involving steroids. Most of them were bad, but some of them became highly intelligent psychopaths. Guess which one Zoran is?
A psychopath.
Bond tries to infiltrate the oil platform, and things go awry because at the same time the Soviets are trying to infiltrate the oil platform. Luckily, though, they take his place, and he bumps into a Soviet on their way to land. And luckily, they have a pass with each other, so he sleeps with her. And he swaps cassettes. So he learns that Max Strike is happening in 3 days, and it has something to do with a flood.
Yeah. Oh my
He
God.
meets with someone and ends up spotting another blonde, and he follows the blonde woman, trying to figure out who she is. We find out her name is Sutton, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And been a part of Sutton Oil, which was bought by Zoran. And her dad was pushed out of it, and she's been suing Zoran. And Zoran has been sending hitmen to deal with her, so Bond has to deal with them. So, after he gets that information, he sleeps with the blonde. And then the next day, because God forbid shit just happens.
Bring on Timothy Dalton.
Cut some scenes out of these movies. Beg of director's cut to make them shorter. Like, you can spill
Apparently I
on...
didn't get the memo.
You can spill on all you want about, like, oh, it's just your generation have a shorter attention spans. Like, no.
No, it isn't.
Nothing happens in these movies. My generation showed up for the Batman, which was over 3 hours long. This movie is like 2 hours and 12 minutes, and it is
There's so many
15
movies
minutes
now
too
that are
long.
3 hours. Like, it's just not what you name. There's plenty of movies that are
They're
2.5, 3 hours. It's not about, the length. If you watch a good movie, you don't really care if it's long, as long as it's telling the story.
I'm drained just trying to tell this story because there's just large chunks in this movie
Of nothing.
that don't have to be here. They contribute nothing to the story or the plot or the characters.
This is a product of Hollywood taking a short story and trying to make it a movie.
Yeah.
Because this movie is based off of the short a short story. It's not a full-fledged book or anything. It's a short story, 5,000 words that Hollywood wanted to take into a 2+ hour long movie.
Sutton gets fired the next day for asking around because they learned what's happening. Sutton is going to flood the San Andreas fault line and trigger an earthquake.
All this
Their
work just
CIA
to have to,
agent is taken out before he can go do anything. And Mayday drives away with the car so no one else can know what's going on. But they're caught at City Hall, but they escape the elevator death trap. I don't believe that Sutton could drive a fire truck. I don't believe it. Anyway, the big bad's plan. They're going to flood San Andreas fault line, which is going to trigger a massive earthquake. At the same time, they're going to blow up all of this. That'll too cause an earthquake. So just, mega quake going on, which will take down Silicon Valley. Bond saves the day. Oh. I wonder if this is where the Great Fear started. The fear of the big one. That's going to push California into the ocean.
I mean, do you think this film would have that much of an impact?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. Bond saves the day, but he's missing in action, but Q finds him with Sutton and the movie ends.
Finally. Thank you. Goodbye.
Like, there's no way to even talk about this movie to where it would seem interesting.
No. See, the problem is, I'm giving it a D. I'm just telling my grade right now.
As I said during the DC stuff, unless I put this first, in which case you'll figure out that reference later. Max, get your goddamn subtitles in order. What the fuck? You have the highest paid CEOs. You guys were bragging about being in the green and making money off your streaming, but your subtitles are fucking terrible. There are lines that don't show up at all. There are lines that are just wrong and not what's being said. Get it together.
This film, like he says, I'm giving it a D. This has been in tread. Look, Roger Moore came onto the scene after we were done with Sean Connery. We had the one-off George Lazenby coming
I
off.
kind of wish we got more Lazenby. He was good.
Yeah.
He might be the best Bond to this point.
To this point. Roger started off good. His film started off good. But then it seemed like they never evolved. Like, here's the thing. They could have finally, put a story around an older Bond. Because Roger Moore was getting older. He was never a super action star or anything else like that. And it just seems like they stayed in one time period. The quality of the film, everything just stayed in one period of, the early 70s. It never grew out of it. They try to throw in the slapstick, making fun of the characters style comedy, and I'm like, this is not Bond. This is the last couple films almost seem like a parody rather than an actual Bond film.
I've said this before with Moore in one of the other reviews. Like I said, he always seemed like a spy who showed up by accident and doesn't know what he's doing, but he's just trying to fake it till he makes it.
Right.
And I'll say Grace Jones, who played Mayday, I think if they would have treated her character more seriously, she could have done a better job.
Yeah, you made her training the villain, the main villain,
yeah,
but also be used as the pawn.
Yeah. I think if they would have treated her character a little better here and given her more to do, she could have killed it, and we could have been talking real high on Mayday.
Yes.
We had a brain over brawn bongo here, right, with Sutton. But we are 3 movies away from having a better one, and 5 movies away from having an even better one. So, this was not a good one. I want her in the elevator. I kind of wish she just died in that elevator. God damn it. Okay. The edit. Before I say it out loud.
Large. Black?
Keep going. That does say what it says.
I'm trying.
D-I-L.
Dildo.
Okay. So there seems to be a little bit of weird, contradictory stuff, different stories around what happened here, but it does all equal up to what happened here. When Mayday takes her robe off and she's naked,
Yeah.
the actress had a large black dildo on and jumped in the bed with him.
I gotta go back and watch that now.
That's why there's such a weird edit between her getting into bed with him.
Oh, so you didn't actually see it?
Oh, I saw. No, you don't see it. But,
Okay.
I saw
I
that
agree-
later,
okay.
and I'm like, oh my god, is that why there's a weird
Yeah,
edit
there was
there?
a bad edit where like she gets undressed, she's about to go, but you never see her in bed, and then she jumps like she's already in bed with him.
Yeah.
There's
That's
like, where's
just-
that second at?
The actress is wearing a large black dildo.
What was the point of that?
Well, it seemed like the main thing was it was a practical joke.
Okay. And they couldn't tell her to cut it out?
She, I want the cut where that stayed in.
that
Best
would've been-
Bond movie. Period. If that they give me that cut, best Bond movie.
Wonder what Roger Moore's response was
But
to that.
in his autobiography, he said he laughed it off.
I think you have to have it. Like that's like the perfect humor, because like you're almost like sticking it to the editors because nobody's telling you no. We're gonna do the scene over and take it off.
Like best Bond movie. Make her the next Bond.
Well, another thing with the editing in production value was when Bond falls through the boat onto the wedding table cake and all that. You can clearly see it's a dummy falling down. This is an established franchise that somehow has managed to keep around, and you can't give me anything better than a dummy falling down.
Final grades.
It's a D. The reason why it's on an F for me, is because I did like two things. I did like the scene where he's getting air from the tire. I don't think I like that's such a unique thing
I
to
would,
do.
I'd give it to him, but I just saw that in the Transporter movies.
Oh, that too. Then I actually like the theme song, at least the first half of the theme.
I was about to say California Girl.
No. The theme. Bond films have been known for the theme songs. Up to this point, they've all been like, this one was actually pretty decent.
I'm giving this a D off the sole purpose that I got to talk about large black dildo on the screen.
The Roger Moore era is over.
What do you grade the Roger Aaron Moore as? Final grade for Roger Moore.
Did we do the Sean Connery grade?
Well, if we didn't, I'll do it now. Sean Connery gets an F.
Yeah, he. All right, so Sean Connery F. George
Lazenby?
Lazenby
B? Give him
B.
He
Yeah,
was
I'm
good.
giving him B. He was good. It's like that we got one off. Roger Moore era. I don't know what is his fault and what's not his fault. I'm giving him
Well, I can only go. I'm not talking about the actor. I'm talking about what was given to us.
C.
D. You get an F too, but I got to talk about a large black dildo on the shirt.
The movie started off better. But they never
It was better
evolved.
than Connery, but I needed it to continuously get better.
And that's what I was about to say, is that it stopped to a point.
Yeah, Man with the Golden Gun was good.
Yeah.
I liked Man with the Golden Gun.
But like then Octopussy and whatever Bond in Space and
Bond in Space.
exactly. So now next month we get into the short Timothy Dalton ones.
You want to know how short that was supposed to be?
Who was there?
Moonraker. It was only supposed to be one off.
Ah.
Brosnan was supposed to take over after I think it was like Drive to Kill or something like that. Was
Yeah.
where Brosnan was supposed to. But the TV series Brosnan was working on changed their line at the last moment and threw on another season and wouldn't let him out of his contract.
Makes sense.
So Dalton came back for one more.
But like I said, the overall thing is like Roger Moore era seems like it never grew. It stayed in its piece, like stayed in like the early '70s theme, and you had an aging Bond. You could have took an older Bond route where he didn't have to keep sleeping with all these women and womanizing things. It never evolved. But this one, the film was a D. Roger Moore's 7 film, I think it was a C. because it started off at the right track, just never evolved. So it's there.
There you go. Animal Moore's D's.
Well, on that note, until next time, bye bye.
Bye.